the collision industry is one of the only industries where when you go to the shop and get an estimate, it is very rare today that the final bill is going to look anything like the estimate. It's going to be dramatically higher.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the airing of Grievances. Of course, my name is Eric Reamer. That's Robert Grieve, and we are so glad that you are here today. Boy, we got a crazy one for you today. So stay tuned all the way to the end because you're going to hear some things that you may not even expect, but we're going to raise the roof on an issue that is important to you. And if you haven't done it already, don't forget to click the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notify bell. Make sure that everybody knows that you're following what we're doing here on this channel. Rob, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you.
And happy Saturday to you guys.
My dear friends.
Well. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But now, wait a minute, Rob. We do the happy Saturday thing. I got a new mug. It looks like you got a new mug.
Mm-hmm. We have a very dear friend that gave us these nice Yetis.
Yeah, there you go. There's the one for me. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah.
Thank you, Lee.
One of our good friends, Lee,
cheers,
sent these in to us, and we're very thankful for that. Rob, you saw the intro. A bit of a roller coaster, if you will, as we take the ride down the digital rabbit hole of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But before we actually get to that, let's start at the 30,000-foot level by talking about estimates.
Yeah. Let's talk about estimates. They've been around a long time. Keeping in mind it's a consumer-focused video, so
yes.
we're talking to you, the consumer.
Right.
We're consumers also.
Absolutely.
We need things and we need estimates on things. And this is really one of the only industries,
the collision industry, that you can get an estimate, and you're going to get an estimate from a couple different places, which is going to make it confusing right out of the box because they're not going to match. Right.
You have the insurer that's going to write an estimate. You have the shop that's going to write an estimate. And they're not going to match, so that's going to create a little frustration point as to what happens next.
Right.
But, you know, we're having a little issue with our heater at home.
Oh.
Probably going to need to be replaced. And when Carol, my wife, calls to people to come and look at it, and they give her an estimate to replace it,
yeah,
she's going to expect that it is going to be very close to that estimate, what the final price is.
Sure.
That is not the case in collision repairs. And, you know, from the shop perspective, nobody's trying to, well, I shouldn't say nobody's trying to mislead you because there's people out there that will certainly try to mislead you.
Sure.
But if you come to a shop or go to a shop and ask for an estimate, it's going to be visual on what they can see. Same thing with the insurance company. But what that final bill might be once it's disassembled is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So let's take a minute and talk about hidden damage and what that really means.
Okay.
And you've heard me say in other videos that a bumper cover, which is a plastic piece, front and rear, does exactly what it's called. It covers.
Right.
And when you take that off, there's tons of plastic and metal and safety items, cameras, sensors, all sorts of different things that can also be damaged that you cannot tell from the outside.
Right.
And so let's just say you called a roofing company to get an estimate on your roof. Well, you can see the damage on your roof. So that estimate should be pretty close to what the final bill is. Naturally, if there's rotten wood that they come across, that's going to all add onto it, and that would be considered hidden damage.
Absolutely.
Hail claims, for cars. You can see the damage.
Right.
So there shouldn't be that big a difference, other than there'll probably be a big difference between what the insurance company writes and what is actually needed, especially in today's cars with all the technology and the calibrations that'll have to be done, so on and so forth. Most adjusters don't know that.
Sure.
So that it isn't on the estimate. But today we're going to talk about something new.
Somebody else walked into the room.
Yep. Let's have another wrinkle into this whole already. The estimate is not what you think it really is.
And the wrinkle is?
Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence.
Yep.
And we have an estimate here. It's the first time I've actually seen it called out, so I want to talk about that.
Right.
But one thing, my father was a controller of a dealership, so he was in charge of all the financials.
Okay.
Doing the financial statements for the manufacturers, bank accounts, blah, 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 and they used computers. Now, this is back in the early 70s.
Oh, okay.
And the computers took up a whole room.
Yeah.
And he would bring me to work every now and then I would be just fascinated by this super cold room with all these computers in it that are gigantic, and they got like ticker tape coming out of them, and punch cards that make them work.
Okay. I know your dad's old. He's long since passed, but man, if you remember that, you're old too.
I remember it because this is what he told me.
Yeah.
Rob, these are amazing tools, but you have to remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't put the right information in, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do with it, and it's going to give you garbage out.
Yeah, these tools are the computers that we're talking about, or even as it applies to artificial intelligence, is the same kind of a thing. They only spit out what has been previously put in, and so interesting.
Yeah. So let me just read what this says, and this is this disclaimer. I've always told my audience, our audience, you have to be an active participant. When you get this estimate, whether it's from the shop or from the insurer or from both, you've got to understand what it's saying and what it means to you and the repairs to your vehicle.
Right.
And there's lots of disclaimers. There's like 2 pages of disclaimers on this thing, and also instructions on how to read the estimate.
Okay.
So please do that. Yeah. But in this particular case, all the way on page 5.
Page 5.
It says, in big, bold letters, this estimate was generated by an artificial intelligence application based on photographic data and reviewed by a human adjuster. By the way, the adjusters swear by if the AI says it, it must be true.
Right.
Because they've got millions of pictures of damaged vehicles, so the computers somehow look at those pictures and say, hey, we've seen this before, and this is what was on the estimate, and so let's populate this estimate with what that was.
It spits out an average. And I'm suspicious already when it says that it's being reviewed by the human.
Yeah, you got to wonder what the credentials are of the human, because they're widely inaccurate.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about asking AI about AI.
We are. We turned AI on itself.
Yeah. So it goes on further to say, your insurance policy may provide you a right to appeal this estimate or to request an additional review. Please refer to your insurance policy or contact your insurance company for additional information. So they're already putting something in here that says, it may not be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But
I think that's...
you can appeal it and that goes to the appraisal clause. That's what they're speaking.
Yeah, I think
speaking
that's
about.
a part of the estimate now, that this should be referred to as the CYA
Yeah.
clause. And I just kind of think that if you got to start on page 5 and go with multiple pages of disclaimers, that should be a red flag, at least to common sense. But okay, so here we have this, and we may or may not be able to dispute it, depending on what the policy reads.
And now you need the shop also, because the shop's going to interpret this for you and tell you what it says and what's missing and so on and so forth.
Right.
So this is AI driven
Yeah.
and reviewed by a human. So going down the estimate, I see that it needs a wheel. So the wheel is so bad that it needs a wheel replaced.
Okay.
Nowhere on the estimate does it have a wheel alignment.
It doesn't have an alignment?
Right, doesn't have an alignment. So if AI is so smart that the vehicle needs a wheel, why is there no wheel alignment on there? It's if this, then that. I mean, it's all algorithms.
Yeah.
If this, then that. If that, then this.
Rules of engagement.
And so these AIs are only good as they're programmed.
Let me ask you a quick question. Who would it benefit to not have the alignment on an estimate that requires a wheel replacement?
Well, it would benefit the insurance company.
Okay, let me ask another question. Who could it potentially harm if it doesn't have a wheel alignment, but it calls for a wheel replacement?
The consumer and the consumer's passengers.
And perhaps even anybody on the road next to the consumer.
It could affect that as well. So just right off the top, and then, I'm going through and looking at stuff. This is a very small repair.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a ton of stuff, but it is replacing the fender. And on this particular Lexus fender, you have to add a bead of seam sealer to part. It's expensive. It's not like caulking your bathroom. This
Right.
is expensive seam sealer, and it has to be all masked off to replicate the factory look and so on and so forth. That's on every one of these cars. Why isn't that on the estimate?
It's not there either?
That's not on there either. And it's got a new door. The new doors don't come seam sealed from the factory. You have to seam seal them as well. Why doesn't AI know that?
Now you're starting to realize why your original estimate, the initial estimate, is nowhere near what it's going to be in the end. And it's not just the fact that the guy wearing the T-shirt for your insurance company who comes over and tries to give an estimate in person is so different from AI. They're playing on the same team. Mm-hmm. And that team is Pro Insurance Company, and
They got an angle.
and not you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that there's shops out there that will fix the vehicle for what was written.
Yeah.
So this is sourced all sorts of aftermarket parts and used parts. And I mean, it does it in milliseconds.
Sure.
It's got all these databases that it scrubs and says,
Yeah.
and just piles it all in there. But here's another thing. Disconnect and reconnect the battery. Any repair of this nature, because you have to take the bumper off, headlights out, all the rest of this other
Sensors
stuff.
are included.
Sensors, all that stuff. You got to disconnect the battery
Yes.
while you're doing all that stuff. Then it's a Toyota Lexus. We all know we have to do dynamic seatbelt safety inspections and static seatbelt safety inspections. Why aren't they on there? It's all these types of things, and this is one of the reasons, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, trust me.
That's true.
Because I'm not sure how much machine learning is actually going into this. But don't take my word for it.
We asked ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to give us specific instances and cases where the AI assisted insurance estimate ended up not necessarily giving us the proper results. And it spit out a whole bunch of things, and I had to try to filter through all of those. We
Right.
highlighted a couple
And then
of
I
them.
refiltered,
Yes.
so I just get the points across to you.
Yep.
So, challenges with photo-based estimating. The adoption of photo-based estimating powered by AI has led to instances where AI misinterprets images, resulting in incorrect damage assessments. This misinterpretation can cause delays and disputes between insurers and repair shops. That was from Repair Driven News.
That's
Let's go to this page. Limited adaptability to new vehicle technologies. With the rapid advancement of vehicle technologies, which is hard for us to keep up with,
right.
AI systems may lag in accurately assessing damage related to new features or materials, such as an electric vehicle component or advanced composites, because cars are made out of so many different things, resulting in incomplete or incorrect evaluations. And that's from Wired.
Yep.
So we're not making this stuff up.
No.
Discrepancies in AI versus human assessments. There have been documented cases where AI-generated repair estimates significantly differ from those provided by human appraisers. These discrepancies have led to conflicts between insurers and repair shops regarding appropriate repair procedures and costs. That's also from Wired. And I think I got one more. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I didn't even think about this one. Errors in fraud detection.
Hello.
While AI is instrumental in detecting fraudulent claims, it can also provide false positives, flagging a legitimate claim as suspicious. This can delay the claims process and cause frustration for an honest policyholder. So keep your eye out for that as well.
And that's from the Insurance Journal.
Yep.
Rob, a couple of those things that you just read off may involve delays.
Lots of delays.
Right. And that's one of the things that we really struggle against, because it's our intent, it's everyone's intent as far as the body shop is concerned, to get this
Get it in and get it done.
Right, get it done quickly.
Yeah.
But sometimes it goes beyond our control.
Sometimes just getting the claim settled to a point that you can start the repairs takes far longer than the repairs themselves. That's not even talking about the issue of hidden damage.
Right.
Because when you take one of these bumper covers off and you see all the damage behind it, that's not what you scheduled in. You
Right.
scheduled in a bumper replacement.
Yeah.
And then you take it off, and now trying to get all these parts today is not as easy as what it once was.
No, and not only that, we've got the challenge of AI not being up to date with what those new parts are and so on. Remember, AI at the end of the day is nothing more than a combination of codes, right? It's programmed. And if something comes out that's brand new and your AI system hasn't been updated to include the brand new information, and that happens all the time. Heck, we do it with our software on our computers.
Yeah. And it only adds to the angst of the difference in estimates and the difference in the final bill. And while you come in and you may say it needs a fender and a headlight and a bumper, once you take that fender, headlight, and bumper out, that inner structure may be compromised because it's meant to fold
Right.
and absorb energy, and now it may need some inner stuff, which can add another layer
Absolutely.
onto how long it takes to get something done. The shop wants to get it done and get it back to you.
Yeah.
It has never been harder than what it is today, and it's frustrating for consumers. And then add in, is it done properly?
Right.
With all the safety checks and all the stuff that need to be done. So that's what we got for today. I hope you found it useful.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so very much. Sorry I wasn't around last weekend. We got a little snowstorm working, and I'm also the plow guy.
I was going to say, a little snowstorm. My back still hurts from that little snowstorm.
So,
Well, Rob, thank you so much.
Yep.
Happy Saturday to you.
happy Saturday.
Nice mug.
My dear friends, God bless. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Saturday.